Welcome to Things I Can't Say, the podcast for the things parents whisper, not post. I'm Annie, a parent who's walked through the quiet, lonely hallways of raising a child with traits that don't fit neatly into any of the parenting books, or on anyone's social media feed either. Each week we'll open the door to stories that rarely get told out loud. I'll start with mine, and then you'll hear from other parents, mental health professionals, and people who know what it means to live in the gray instead of the black and white. This is a place where shame loses its power, where complexity isn't feared but explored, and where love doesn't have to be easy in order to be real. If you've ever felt like no one else could possibly understand, you're not alone here. This is Things I Can't Say, and I am so glad you're here.
Oh, friends, I think that I knew the depths of the addiction that my son was dealing with. But the reality hit me upside the head last night in a way that I was not expecting. And I'm struggling today. Today is a really, really hard day. I got a phone call close to midnight last night, and it was an emergency room provider who told me that my son had been brought into the emergency room over an hour from me by ambulance, and that he was intubated in the ambulance, and things were pretty iffy in that moment, and they desperately needed some history on him because he was alone and they didn't have anything. They didn't know enough to know where to go next or what could have caused what he was dealing with. And to be clear on where I'm going to head in this, there are things that I still don't know, and I'll probably never know, and I am not going to make guesses on anything that I say. So I'm only going to share the specific things that I know. I do not know exactly what happened that led to the ambulance being called. I still do not know exactly what led to this entire event. I know that he was taken to the ER by ambulance and stopped breathing on the way and was intubated. That phone call, that was so hard because, one, I felt like I'm still his mom. That's what I said to her on the phone. I said, legally, yes, I am his parent. I am his parent. Legally, I am the next of kin. So, yes, I can answer your questions since he is unresponsive and unable. And also, I don't know that he even wants me to. So, this feels very awkward and uncomfortable. Uh, B, I had this urge to get in the car and drive. I wanted to be at that hospital. I wanted to see him. I wanted to know he was okay. I wanted to be there. I felt like I should be there. I was supposed to be there. I needed to be there. I needed to go. And it took me in my half asleep moments a while to sit with this idea that I wanted to go because my peace was gone. Like, I went to bed feeling complete peace. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing happening. There was no crisis. There was nothing. I went to sleep last night feeling complete peace. And then I got this phone call that rocked that peace completely. It was gone. And the only way that I knew how to fix that was to go, was for me to physically get in the car and go regain my peace by being there. And the recognition that that was a very impulsive thought, that me being there would not regain my peace. I mean, I might have a moment of peace in seeing him, like that might bring me some peace in being there in that moment, but long term, that would not bring me peace. That would stir up so much more. The blurring of the boundaries would be a lot. Um, the feeling of a good mom would get in the car and go. I should get in the car and like it was so difficult to sit in that space. Um, After I spoke to the doctor and gave as much information as I could give when I didn't feel like I knew that much about current events, I did contact his biological family, who was able to fill in a few more of the blanks at that moment based on the little bit of information they had, um, which gave me the clear idea that while he is in treatment or had been in treatment, that was not working. Um, I'm not going to say he was actively still using, but I feel pretty confident I can say that there was use happening while in treatment. It was not an inpatient treatment, it was outpatient, which does not work for someone like my son. Um, a lot of other pieces to it that told me that that part of me that wanted so badly to have hope that him going to treatment and him getting sober, I knew hope was dangerous. I knew, I knew, I knew. And having it right in front of my face, that using, again, after being in treatment not super long, is likely what led to last night happening. That's not what I wanted to hear last night. But yet, it's also what I knew was going to happen. I knew that's what was coming next. And the reality of it and the frustration of it, I'm angry about it. I'm not angry at him. I'm angry at what is. I am angry that services and supports don't exist in this situation. That I have a son who desperately needs very clear supports and so much accountability in order to be successful. And that is not an option unless you commit a crime and you're caught for it. In order for that to happen, someone else has to get hurt. That is what has to happen in order for him to get the help that he so desperately needs. I can't. The reality of that, this isn't the first time we've experienced the reality of it, but having it hit again, it is just that reminder that this is not going away. Um, he was in the hospital for the night. My understanding from the provider when they called me again very, very early this morning and woke me up, um, was that he chose to leave this morning. It did not sound like they thought that was the best plan for him, but he didn't want to be there anymore. So he left. I also understand that he may be back in detox at this point, which, in order to be back in detox, it would tell me that there's been some significant amount of use happening while in treatment. I I'm sad. I'm sad and I'm angry and I'm frustrated and all of the things because I feel like I could sit down and draw you a map. I could draw out this exact picture of what is needed for someone like my son to be successful. And it is not available. An outpatient treatment program, a treatment program where he has the choice of what he's doing all day, every day, like those things will not work for him. It is not an option for him, but it seems to be the only option that's available. And because of the situation being what it is, he can tell people anything he wants. He can say whatever he wants. There is not the accountability in place for, I'll just say it, there's not accountability in place for the truth to be shared. And so this is just going to continue. And I hate saying that because I think as the mom, I'm supposed to have hope. I'm supposed to be his biggest cheerleader and want like all the good things for him and think he can do it and be so encouraging and all of those things. And I'm looking at the system in place and thinking, that's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. No matter how much I want it to happen or how much in the moment he thinks this might work for him, it will not work. And that is not me being pessimistic or negative or any of the things that my brain wants to tell me that I am being. It is simply the reality of what this is. And there are no other options. In order for him to have success, he needs a contained, secure program that addresses both addiction and mental illness. And that is not going to happen. I am so tired today. I had someone ask me if I would feel regret or guilt or something like that if I didn't go to the hospital last night and he died. And my answer is no. No, I've thought through that all day today. Ever since they asked me that, I have thought through that question of if he died, what would I feel? And I think that it sounds bad as a parent to say I wouldn't feel guilt or regret. But the reality is I can't sit in that place. I have a son who is determined at this point to do all of the things that are harming himself. All of the things that are harming him. He is very aware of what fentanyl can do to him. He's very aware of what meth can do to him. He is very aware, and if he wasn't, he was intubated last night. He's very aware. And we continue down this same path over and over and over again. I cannot sit in this space of holding ownership over the choices that he is making. Because if I had a way to stop them, they would already be stopped. They would have been stopped so long ago. I can't stop them. And my reality that I'm sitting in is I don't know that he can stop them either. And he might listen to this and be really offended by the things that I'm saying, and I'm okay with that right now. I think that he sits in a spot where he's kind of the victim in this. Like, he's the black sheep of the family and just doesn't get along with everybody and like out to get him kind of stuff, which he gets to feel all of that. That's okay. And the reality that I sit with, the viewpoint and perspective that I have, is this is a person who struggles so much with the day to day realities of life, and I can't fix those realities. I can't change how he sees the world. I can't change how he interacts with the world, and I can't fix how the world interacts with him. And I wish that I could. I wish I could redesign the entire system to create something that works for him. And that is not within my power. And I fully believe that I could not parent him better. I don't think that there is anything that I could do that would be better. This stinks. My child is addicted to meth and fentanyl. My child uses a lot of alcohol, a lot of nicotine, and not in the safest ways. I think, without full confirmation, that my child would use any substance available without limit. And I don't foresee that ending because I don't know that he wants it to. This has become a part of his personality, a part of who he is and just who he is. He's the best at it. I don't know, but I know that I can't participate in it. The idea of getting these phone calls more as this continues, I'll say if this continues, because I'll put this tiny bit of hope into maybe we'll get better. Uh, the idea that there could be more of these phone calls coming makes my stomach turn because I don't know how to do this part. I haven't known how to do any of it. I don't know how to do this part. But I do know what the patterns are. I am watching them very, very clearly. Very clearly. And the patterns that I'm seeing right now are the same patterns that have happened for years. And what is available for me to see tells me that this is not someone who wants to be sober right now. And I can't stop that. So, no, I didn't go to the hospital last night. I didn't rush to the car and drive there and save the day like I would have so many other times. Because that's who I was. So many other times. I didn't do it. I spoke to the doctor. I got in bed with my brain spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And then I went to sleep for a while because I can't fix this. And if you're walking the same journey, you can't fix it either. You can't fix it. It doesn't matter how much you love them, how much you care, how much you want, how much you need. None of that matters. If they don't want to be better and or there is no system and supports to allow them to get better, then this is what it is. And right now, this is what it is. So I can be, I guess, relieved that he is back in detox. We'll call that a positive for now, mainly because that keeps him alive, theoretically. Does it give me hope? Unfortunately, no. It doesn't. Not until I see from him that he wants to be healthy or is able to be healthy. How is this my life? How is this my life? I don't know. I do know that I'm going to sleep really, really well later tonight. I know that. My nervous system needs a break. I'll be back again soon. most likely. Have a good day.
Thanks for being here, listening, feeling, and sitting with the hard stuff. If you've ever whispered a story like mine, I'd love to hear from you. You can leave me a message at mombehindthescenes.com because every story told gives someone else permission to share theirs. This is Things I Can't Say, the podcast for things you whisper, not post. Until next time, take care of yourself.